Extra Thick!
What's poppin', YouTube? ExtraThicc Gaming here, coming at you with a brand new YouTube channel. Now, I wanted this channel to primarily be focused on just a few games, namely the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, as well as Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U, and very shortly Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But, you know, another thing I was really interested in including was a couple of anime reviews, you know? Primarily Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, and maybe even the Dragon Ball Super English dub as they premiere on in the middle of the week and the weekends, respectively. And that's what we're going to be doing here tonight. It's not exactly the video that I wanted to, you know, launch this channel with, but I really wanted to get this project up and running sooner rather than later. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with our review of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, Episode 71, Declaration of War. So, the episode starts with a recap of the past few episodes. We get Lightning and Windy capturing Playmaker and I, we get Revolver busting in to save the day, we get the highlights of his duel with Windy and his ultimate victory over the Ignis, as well as the Knights of Hanoi attempting to destroy, or rather, not to mince words, murder Windy. And lastly, we get the appearance of Bowman, Haru, as well as Jin Kusanagi. The episode itself starts out with Playmaker calling out to Jin, but of course this effort's going to be fruitless. The conflict isn't going to be resolved that easily, as Lightning reveals that he has trapped Jin's consciousness deep, deep within itself. So, of course, it was Lightning himself who sent Bowman to steal Jin's consciousness in the first place. Now, I is absolutely livid about this fact, and starts comparing him to Windy, asking him like if he's the same as him. Lightning responds, though, that while they have similar goals, he views himself as not as cruel as Windy, but he sees how the Ignises and their partners influence each other, and he is not necessarily a big fan of that kind of uncertainty. Playmaker starts connecting dots, and realizes that it must have been Lightning who gave Bowman the Judgment Arrows. And now Flame over here starts connecting even more dots and realizes that it was the Judgment Arrows that destroyed the Cyberse world in the first place. So now we've got everybody in the room all quiet, the obvious answer looming in the air, but Flame breaks this silence by demanding from Lightning to tell him the answer. Was he the one who destroyed the Cyberse world? Did he do it? Why did he do it? Lightning refutes Flame, saying that in their time apart, he's gotten boring. He talks too much, but he'll answer Playmaker. He likes him better because he gets straight to the point. And he drops the enormous bombshell on us that it was indeed Lightning himself that destroyed the Cyberse world. So with that out in the open now, Lightning says that he did it to clarify problems so that the Ignis could progress. After I had sealed away the Cyberse world itself at the beginning of the series, the question of are humans the enemy was raised and discussed several times, with no ultimate unified answer ever being concluded on until the Knights of Hanoi attacked several years later, and that further drove the nail in the coffin for Lightning in his point that the humans were indeed the enemy, with this being further exemplified for Lightning by the fact that Dr. Kogami, the creator of the Ignis, himself viewing the Ignises as the enemy. But to his great surprise, there were still Ignises in Aqua and Flame that wanted to coexist, and Lightning couldn't understand this, leaving it to a further standstill. Flame tries to clarify this standstill rather aggressively, the way he does, by saying that it was because he saw such great, unlimited potential in Soul Burner. And Lightning says that he understands that, but what he understands it as is that Flame is this great, this miscalculation, this error, right? And then Flame and I have a little back and forth. I is mocking Flame, saying, "Ah, he called you an error." but then Lightning shuts that down, saying, "You too, I can't believe that someone would call him that," and Flames basically saying, "No, we all knew this." And they have a little back and forth banter like they do. It's great, hilarious. But more to the point, Lightning doesn't understand their individuality and views that these kind of free thoughts among the Ignises, these differences in opinions, could prove to be a threat. And Revolver steps in at this point in the episode and fuels his fire, basically saying that after all that, all he really did was destroy his own world and kill his own kind, just the ones that thought differently than he did. But Lightning refutes that, saying that what he was thinking about was for the purpose of rebuilding. Now Lightning starts to get closer to his conclusion, saying how he wanted to end this peacefully, but he couldn't, and how he wants to end this quickly now, but he can't, as his ally Windy is currently still dying due to the program that the Knights of Hanoi infected him with. He says that he'll prepare their battlefield for a later day and time, leaving the humans and Ignises confused as to what he means, so Lightning spells it out for them. He declares war on the humans, and at this point he collects Bowman and Haru, and they escape on their hoverboards with Soulburner and Playmaker in hot pursuit. Now the Knights of Hanoi consult Revolver as to what they should do about this, but Revolver says that they should leave this to Playmaker for the moment, as if he ends up taking out a few of the Ignises, their job gets a little bit easier, to which Spectre comments the enemy of their enemy is their friend. At this point, he tells them to send SoulThicc the coordinates of their location, and then they promptly leave. Back at SoulThicc, Akira Zaizen and his secretary receive the coordinates from Hanoi, and at that point, Akira immediately decides to dispatch the bounty hunters, sans Onizuka, as no one at this point knows quite where he is. Blood Shepherd and the other two just grunt lackeys from the beginning of the season are sent to the coordinates after the Ignises. So the chase between Playmaker, Soulburner, and the Ignises continue, with I berating Lightning, but Lightning retorts by saying that they should be grateful to him, as it was Lightning himself that saved Playmaker and I after they fell subsequent to their duel with Spectre, way back in that had to be episode 38. Couldn't have Revolver destroying Link Vrains while he was over here trying to destroy the Cyber Swirl. No, that would be a conflict of interest. So, to throw them off a bit, Lightning goes ahead and summons none other than Bit and Boot, who promptly states that it's been a while since they've made an appearance, something that I'm sure most of the viewing audience thought. Not that they were terribly missed characters, but this time they've got an army with them. But this distraction does not last very long, as Blood Shepherd and the bounty hunters arrive very shortly after, and Blood Shepherd does not waste any time trying to duel anyone. No, he gets busy immediately, just shooting the entire army, just shooting them down, taking them out one after the other. So with this diversion seeming to have failed, Bowman tells Lightning that he will duel Playmaker again, leaving Soulburner to the Light Ignis. So to get themselves in position for these two duels to happen, what Lightning does is he has the conscienceless Jin squeeze the dying body of Windy, quite grotesquely I must add, in order to make a data storm happen to split up the opponents. So I asks the question that I'm sure is on all of our minds, does Bowman know who he is this time around? And Bowman responds that, yes, he does. He is the evolution of the Ignises. Apparently Bit and Boot were the first model, with Haru being the second model, and Bowman himself being the third and final. Now this leads me to think that Lightning's still probably screwing with his head a little bit. As we saw earlier on in the season, it seemed to be Haru that was pulling the strings on Bowman, not the other way around. But nonetheless, Bowman claims to be this third, final, and perfect evolution of Ignis and what they're supposed to be, but modeled after none other than Playmaker and I themselves. Well, I says that Bowman should be modeled after his creator. He should be modeled after Lightning. But Bowman promptly responds that while Lightning recognizes that he is superior, he also recognizes that he's still flawed. He's still incomplete. He's not perfect, right? See, Lightning apparently wants total unity within the Ignis world. Alright, it seems like a pretty decent goal, but the way he wants to achieve it is where his morality starts being brought into question. The free-thinking Ignises, such as I, Flame, and Aqua, scare him. That kind of free will and individuality he views as a little too whimsical, something that if left unchecked, if left to develop into further ambition, could lead the Ignis to war amongst themselves, much the same as the humans do. They don't view themselves as equal with the humans. They view themselves much as what they were created to be, humanity's successor. And Bowman brings up, would humans and animals have the same kind of rights? And at this point we start to see, I guess, a little bit of where the side of the Ignises are coming from their way up here standpoint of they're so superior, right? Regardless, Lightning wants to unite the Ignises, but he believes that he's not the one to do it, but Bowman is. And at this point we get some kind of flashback of Bowman being completed in front of Lightning. We get him floating out of this pool looking all angelic. I mean, for all we know, this could be his memories just getting reset again. This could be Lightning and Haru just messing with his head again. But at this point, this is what Bowman believes. This is what the audience is led to believe. And we get a little bit of a back and forth between him and Playmaker until Playmaker ends the episode by declaring their duel to begin. So that's going to wrap up this week's review of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. I gotta say, I'm starting to like where this season is going a lot more than I did in the beginning. I thought that they were introducing entirely too many characters, entirely too quickly, without really making us want to, for lack of better phrasing, care about any of them. But now we kind of know what every single one of them is about, and everything is starting to come into one. So I hope you guys liked this. I'm going to try and make this a weekly occurrence with all of the premiering episodes, as well as with Dragon Ball Super, if I feel so ambitious. And very shortly, I should have a couple of competitive deck profiles out for the post-September 2018 TCG ban list in Yu-Gi-Oh! This has been an absolute blast for me, and I honestly cannot wait to get started on some of those next videos. But until then, stay thick.